A deep, rumbling roar suddenly reverberated through the heavens and the earth, causing everyone in the surrounding sea area to feel a shock in their hearts. They halted in midair and turned their gazes toward the sky, where the sound of the thunderous explosion originated. Whoosh! A dazzling, pure light swept across the horizon from above, instantly enveloping a vast area of millions of miles. Within the radiant light appeared a colossal teleportation spirit array, nearly 100,000 zhang in size. What is that? What terrifying fluctuations of spiritual energy! Panic surged in everyone's hearts as they stared at the enormous and formidable teleportation spirit array in the sky. The size of such a spirit array was something they had never seen before in their lifetime, and the overwhelming spiritual energy fluctuations were far beyond the level of the supreme stage. Buzz! The enormous super spirit array, 100,000 zhang in size, hovered in the sky, and a terrifying wave of spiritual energy began to leak downward. Below, the sea space started to show signs of sinking. Space fault! It's a space fault! Get out of the way! A voice of alarm echoed from the crowd. The concept of a space fault was known to nearly everyone present. If using the space power of the Great Thousand Worlds was a hallmark of a supreme expert, then only an Earth Supreme could create a space fault. Boom! The terrifying space fault waves swept down toward the sea below. Countless figures fled in all directions. At the same time, the huge black stone door deep beneath the ocean was directly destroyed by a space fault. Anger erupted from the crowd. Buzz! The enormous teleportation spirit array, now stabilized, was not a single array but a stacked formation made up of 4 layers of different sizes. The largest was the 100,000 zhang array at the bottom, followed by arrays of 10,000 zhang, 1,000 zhang, and 100 zhang. This type of stacked teleportation spirit array was typically only used for ultra-long-range teleportation. A regular teleportation spirit array could send a person millions of miles away, while a double-layered array could send someone nearly 100 million miles. A 4-layered teleportation spirit array could possibly send someone billions of miles away. Such a high-level teleportation spirit array was rare even across the Great Thousand Worlds, with only a few powerful factions capable of using it. Who are the people on that spirit array? All eyes turned toward the 100 zhang array, where 6 figures appeared. A wave of shocking auras spread from them, shaking the entire area. The figures on the spirit array were all Earth Supreme experts. When everyone's gaze landed on the elderly man in a white robe, the trembling in their hearts grew stronger. The world fell silent. After a few breaths, a trembling voice broke the stillness. Heavenly Supreme Expert. Boom! The 6 figures hovered in the sky, and the elderly white-robed man scanned the world without paying attention to the countless strong individuals gathered in the area. With a casual wave of his sleeve, the 6 figures, like streaks of light, surged forward toward the distant horizon, moving at an unimaginable speed of hundreds of thousands of zhang per moment. The onlookers were left staring, stunned and speechless. In the distance, the 6 figures maintained their terrifying speed. Among them, a familiar figure stood out, Xiao. Around him were the other 3 Earth Supreme experts, including the white-robed elder and all the powerful figures from the Western Heaven Palace. After hearing Xiaoyan's report, they had followed him to this place. Along with He Yuanyun, 4 Earth Supreme experts, and 1 genuine Heavenly Supreme, the group was now heading towards their destination, the Central Heaven Realm, the Divine Void Palace. We seem to have landed in the wrong place, He Yuanyun said, frowning in confusion. He looked at the sea below them, which was rapidly retreating. They had just arrived in this sea near the Central Heaven Realm through the teleportation spirit array from the Western Heaven Palace. However, it seemed that the space fault had caused some damage during their arrival. It must be an Earth Supreme's inheritance grotto. At our speed, it will take half an hour to reach the Central Heaven Realm, which is tens of millions of miles away. As for the Divine Void Palace marked on the spirit map, it should take another 7 to 8 hours, said the elderly man in white robes. He was the Grand Elder of the Western Heaven Palace and hailed from a super dimension. Through his own talent, he had risen from a first-grade supreme upon his arrival, and after 10,000 years of cultivation, his power was immense. Though he was not as strong as the Western Heaven Palace Master, he held a higher seniority and was a senior to Shui Yuan. Xiao Yin nodded lightly upon hearing this, his gaze shifting ahead. There, the vast expanse of land slowly began to emerge, a corner of the border of the Central Heaven Realm. Crossing that boundary would mean entering the territory of the Central Heaven Realm. Within that realm was his wife, Cai Lin. Cai Lin, wait for me. Xiao Yin clenched his fists impatiently. The so-called Divine Void Palace had taken Cai Lin, and with his temperament, he would never allow this to stand. His woman was not someone anyone could touch. Swish, swish, swish. 6 figures shot across the sky at an unimaginable speed, vanishing into the horizon in a flash. However, as Xiao Yin and the others sped toward the Central Heaven Realm, a very different scene unfolded in another world, one isolated from the Great Thousand Worlds. Months ago, in the lower dimension, Wu Yuan dimension, a name reverberated across the realm, Wu Zhu, Lin Dong. A desperate battle had broken out due to an invasion by an evil clan from beyond the dimensions. A young boy had emerged from a small town, growing stronger with each passing day. In the end, he and a girl defended the world. At the final moment, Lin Dong advanced into the ancestral realm, and with the power of the dimension embryo, he completely eradicated the alien demon emperor. This achievement was the greatest since the birth of this dimension and established Wu Zhu's unmatched status. After the battle, Wu Zhu left the dimension to search for his beloved. The once thriving Wu Yuan dimension, however, fell into a terrifying calamity half a year after his departure. 3 branches of the extraterritorial evil clan, as powerful as the alien demon clan itself, joined forces to launch a terrifying assault on the dimension. The originally blue sky of the Wu Yuan dimension had now turned a dark, ominous purple, an evil aura spreading and corrupting everything it touched. The land was ravaged, with no survivors. Even life and death mystique stage experts were obliterated on the spot. At this moment, the only remaining refuge for the survivors was one place. The 4 mystery regions, Eastern Mystery Region, Dao Sect. A massive, tens of thousands of feet tall light shield descended, sealing off the last stronghold. This was the protective barrier Lin Dong had set up for the Dao Sect before he left, created by an ancestral realm expert. It was many times stronger than the original protective shield of the Dao Sect. Now, it was the last line of defense for the entire dimension. Buzz. At the gate of a grand hall in the Dao Sect, space distorted, and several grim-faced figures emerged. Among them were familiar faces, Lin He, Lin Yin, Qing Ji, and the 6 Great Lords. Have we still not contacted Lin Dong? A hurried figure emerged from the hall, the sect master of Dao Sect, Xuanzi. He had recently overcome a reincarnation tribulation. Damn it! The entire dimension is sealed off. All energy fluctuations are being blocked. Lin He cursed, staring out at the sky and earth behind him. Could this world truly be ending? The Devouring Demon Clan, the Blood Demon Clan, and the Swallowing Demon Clan. The invaders this time are far stronger than the Alien Demon Clan. If they weren't searching for something, we would have been slaughtered long ago. Flame Lord gritted his teeth, speaking with great reluctance. They must be after the Dimension Embryo. The Alien Demon Emperor was also searching for this thing, said Thunder Lord. The Dimension Embryo? Xuanzi was stunned. Everyone present was equally puzzled. Why were these invading evil clans so desperate to obtain the Dimension Embryo? Ha ha ha. The Lord of Space suddenly burst into laughter. If they're after the Dimension Embryo, they can search all they want. It's in Lin Dong's hands. Oh? Who is Lin Dong? Just as the Lord of Space finished speaking, a cold voice filled with terrifying power suddenly echoed across the realm. Swish, swish, swish. Countless sounds of wind breaking echoed throughout the Dao Sect. Figures rushed out from various hidden spots within the sect, all eyes turning to the sky. The once dim sky had darkened entirely, transforming into a grotesque, giant face. It seemed to sneer down at the Dao Sect below. You insects! Has it finally come? The Lord of Life and Death stepped out of the main hall and stood on a vast plaza. As she gazed at the enormous face in the sky, nearly 100,000 feet in size, her heart filled with shock. The fluctuation of energy emanating from it was far beyond what the evil demon emperor could compare to. It looks like we're all going to die together. But once Lin Dong returns, he'll avenge us, right? The Lord of Space and others also flew in from behind, gathering in the plaza within moments. These people all had cultivation levels above the reincarnation stage. Who is Lin Dong? Is he one of you? The terrifying voice from the giant face in the sky echoed again. You really are something else. You've rampaged through dimensions, and you don't even know the name Lin Dong? The Dark Lord's gaze locked on the purple-black giant face in the sky as he spoke coldly. It was clear that the three major branches of the evil clan destroyed everything in their path, never giving anyone a chance to talk. To them, ordinary beings wouldn't know the whereabouts of the dimension embryo, so they had never heard the name Lin Dong until now. The grotesque face in the sky darkened upon hearing these words. After a brief pause, it seemed to recall something. Not long ago, a wave of violent demonic energy had swept across countless dimensional domains, each of which contained about 100 dimensions, reaching the primordial demon clan of the 4,000 great demon clans. The primordial demon clan was the peak race of the 4,000 great demon clans, holding the power to command all the demon clans. The distress signal received by the primordial demon clan had come from one of these dimensional domains, and it contained only one sentence. The evil demon clan has been wiped out, all of them annihilated. Such a wave hadn't caught the attention of the primordial demon clan, for at that moment, those who had broken through the shackles from lower dimensions and become powerful cultivators in the Great Thousand Worlds had already formed several super alliances. They had launched counterattacks on the occupied lower dimensions. These individuals were no longer comparable to those who stayed in the lower dimensions. Their return was like a tiger among sheep. Even some previously conquered lower dimensions had been reclaimed. In such a process, it was natural that the 4,000 great demon clans would suffer some losses. The primordial demon clan had assumed that the extermination of the evil demon clan was the result of the return of a supreme being from the Great Thousand Worlds. However, no one knew which supreme had done this. From the words of the Lord of Space just now, it was clear that someone named Lin Dong had obtained the dimension embryo from this dimension and taken it away. If someone from a lower dimension had obtained the dimension embryo, how difficult would it be to wipe out a relatively weak demon clan? Do you know the evil demon clan? The Lord of Space looked up at the grotesque face in the sky, grinning without fear. Boom. The Lord of Space's words caused the giant face in the sky to tremble violently. Then, a wave of astonishment spread across the face, and the sharp senses of the being above finally realized where the evil demon clan had been annihilated. Where is Lin Dong? A furious roar erupted from the grotesque face, shaking the heavens and earth. There was no doubt that the figure revered as a god in the Wu Yuan dimension was closely linked to the destruction of the evil demon clan. Boom! A tidal wave of demonic energy surged from the distant sky, heading straight for the Dao sect below, covering the land like an ominous shadow. The terrifying demonic energy was so intense that even before it reached the Dao sect's protective barrier, ripples appeared on its surface, a sign of the immense pressure it was under. If that wave of demonic energy were to strike the barrier, it would easily shatter it. The power behind it was far beyond what the evil demon emperor could match. Everyone in the Dao sect, including those hidden deep within the Lin family, showed expressions of terror. Faced with this overwhelming force, however, some did not show fear. Curious to know? A violent storm whipped through, ruffling everyone's garments in the fierce wind. The usually cheerful Lord of Space burst into hearty laughter, a playful tone in his voice echoing across the heavens. I won't tell you. As the Lord of Space's voice spread, an ominous wave of demonic energy surged from the distance, crashing against the protective barrier outside the Dao sect under everyone's horrified gaze. Boom! The overwhelming demonic wave obliterated the vast shield guarding the Dao sect with terrifying ease. Its devastating power cascaded onto the massive mountain range where the sect resided. The earth beneath shattered, fracturing into countless gigantic boulders. Even the fiery subterranean layers, thousands of meters deep, were exposed. This was the power of the devouring demon emperor, the ruler of the devouring demon clan, the mightiest of the 3 demon clans. Rumble. Above the heavens, on a colossal boulder tens of thousands of meters across that had been thrown into the air, stood the peak combat forces of the Wu Yuan dimension. Alongside the 6 great lords and Qingji, dozens of reincarnation stage powerhouses gazed upward. In the skies, demonic energy surged wildly, tearing through space itself before condensing into a titanic, pitch-black demonic finger, spanning tens of thousands of meters. Its power was so immense that even an ordinary ancestral realm expert would be unable to withstand it. Qingji stood with his hands behind his back, his expression calm. His thoughts drifted to that young man who once received his Azure Sky Dragon art on the ancient battlefield. That unassuming figure later bore the weight of an entire dimension. Though this dimension had been saved, the arrival of the 3 demon clans revealed a cruel truth. Under their relentless invasions, the mere survival of a dimension was a stroke of fortune. Lin Dong had merely repelled a single wave of invaders. Boom! A towering blaze erupted from the Flame Lord's body, forming immense fiery wings that stretched for miles behind him. He launched himself toward the descending black finger with the fervor of a moth drawn to a flame. His primordial energy pushed to its peak. "You're in such a rush, even for this? Can't you let me have it for once?" As the Flame Lord channeled his full power, an exuberant voice rang out behind him. A silver radiance, like a celestial rainbow, streaked past at impossible speed, overtaking the Flame Lord and heading straight for the descending finger. The fastest among them was, naturally, the Lord of Space. "I wonder if Lin Dong has found little Junior's sister yet?" A resigned voice came from behind. The petite Lord of Life and Death joined the fray, surging forward. "If there's even a fragment of reincarnation left after this, I'd reincarnate into the same world Lin Dong went to. If I run into him, I'll see how well he's been taking care of Junior's sister." The Thunder Lord, lightning flickering around him, quickly caught up to the Flame Lord. "Well, that's assuming there are any fragments of reincarnation left. If there are, I want to go to that world too. Isn't that where our master originated from?" The Dark Lord followed closely, her tone thoughtful. "All right, it's settled then. We'll all reincarnate into that world and reunite." The Flame Lord laughed heartily, pushing his speed to the limit. The 6 great lords streaked through the skies like 6 rays of light, hurtling toward the massive black finger descending from above. But everyone knew what awaited them wasn't reincarnation. It was annihilation. That overwhelming power would obliterate them without a trace. Reincarnation fragments? A mere jest. A group of minuscule beings challenging a demonic god. The sheer audacity of it was even more tragic than the demon clan's earlier onslaught on this dimension. Yet, the reason they could face it so calmly was simple. They all knew one thing. One day in the future, Lin Dong would avenge them by wiping out all 4,000 great demon clans. The once thriving Wu Yuan dimension, now plunged into an unprecedented catastrophe, was being consumed by an endless tide of demonic energy. This energy corrupted every corner of the dimension, erasing everything in its path. Only the most powerful individuals could temporarily resist the invasive malice. But even they could only hold out for a little longer than the rest. In this moment of utter devastation, there was one grim truth. Every living being in this dimension was equal. The Tao sect stood atop the shattered and crumbling earth, a vast mountain peak rising from the devastation. Above it, a massive protective dome, several thousand zhang in size, inverted and hovered in midair, unyielding and indestructible. Within this dome stood a towering palace, its grand structure reverberating with power. Inside, several figures stood, their familiar faces unmistakable as they belonged to the Lin family, the family of Wu Zhu Lin Dong. At this moment, Lin Xiao and Lu Yin stood at the entrance of the palace, their faces filled with terror as they gazed toward the ominous scene unfolding in the sky. There, a massive, pitch-black finger descended from the heavens, while beneath it, several streaks of light surged upward with astonishing speed, like moths to a flame. "Damn it! How can Donger not be here?" Lin Xiao bellowed, his fist smashing into a nearby stone pillar, cracking it into pieces. His voice echoed with anger, knowing that if Lin Dong, who controlled the dimension embryo, were present, the demon clans would not be able to so easily assault this realm. Even if Donger were here, could he withstand these relentless demon forces? Lu Yin spoke gravely, her gaze fixed on the distant sky. The Lord of Life and Death had once told them that the 3 demon clans launching this invasion were far stronger than the previous evil demon clan. Among them was a higher-tier demon clan, more powerful than even the evil demon clan. As Lin Xiao and the others watched the scene unfold, the 6 great lords had already arrived beneath the vast, black finger. They looked up at the enormous, looming finger that seemed to cover the sky, and with a roar, they unleashed their full spiritual power. Boom! The fastest among them, the Lord of Space, took the lead. A tremendous wave of spiritual energy surged from his body, warping the space around him as it transformed into a colossal, silver giant hand that shot toward the descending black finger. Following the Lord of Space, a towering, crimson beam shot into the sky, crashing toward the black finger, accompanied by 2 terrifying light rings. One light ring radiated the power of life and death, while the other was a massive thunderous ring, both closing in rapidly on the black finger above. Swish! A chain of darkness, stretching over 100,000 zhong, was conjured by the Dark Lord, and it whipped toward the towering finger, wrapping around it tightly. Meanwhile, the Lord of Primordial Chaos, having transformed into a giant, lifted a massive chunk of earth, several 100,000 zhong in size, and hurled it toward the black finger. Roar! Elsewhere, Qingji also joined the fray. 10,000 purple-gold dragon patterns surged through the sky, forming into a gigantic purple-gold dragon that streaked through the void, heading straight for the black finger above. A terrifying barrage of attacks from all directions converged on the massive, descending black finger. Ants! Came the indifferent voice of the devouring demon emperor from the sky. As his voice echoed, the enormous black finger collided with the barrage of incoming attacks. Boom! Boom! The earth-shattering clash resonated across the entire dimension, sending tremors through the land. The 6 great lords and their allies, beneath the shadow of the immense black finger, were stunned as they saw their combined attacks utterly fail to halt the finger's descent. The overwhelming pressure from the finger shattered their forces in an instant. Ants! The devouring demon emperor sneered. Even if I die, I will tear a piece of your skin off. The Lord of Space gritted his teeth, his body hurtling toward the vast, malevolent face that loomed above. Ding! A mystical energy radiated from the Lord of Space, a final burst of power that rippled through his body. This energy spread out, and soon, nearly 10 other waves of similar energy emerged, emanating from several other powerful beings. For a brief moment, the Lord of Space paused, looking behind him, where over 10 reincarnation stage experts, including the other lords, had ignited their reincarnation points. They were prepared to perish alongside the 3 invading demon clans, though the chances of survival were slim. The simultaneous ignition of their reincarnation points created an enormous fluctuation, drawing the attention of 2 more figures in the sky. The Blood Demon Emperor and the Swallowing Demon King, both demon emperors as powerful as the Devouring Demon Emperor. Like terrifying bombs, the group of reincarnation stage experts charged toward the Devouring Demon Emperor. His finger, however, was poised to strike them down with one fatal motion. The frozen silence lingered for several breaths. The figures forcibly halted before the immense finger of destruction trembled inwardly, and an overwhelming dread surged into their hearts. The pupils of the 6 great lords abruptly dilated as a voice, thunderous with wrath, reverberated across the heavens and earth. In an instant, an almost euphoric surge, like a tidal wave, swept through everyone's hearts. Who dares disturb this dimension? I shall slaughter them to the last. A thunderous roar filled with boundless fury resounded through the world. Immediately, a terrifying aura spread from the horizon, shaking the heavens. This aura, as if it could crush everything, slammed into the descending, pitch-black giant finger, shattering it completely. Buzz! An enormous spirit array, spanning tens of thousands of feet, blossomed in the sky like a radiant flower. Under its influence, the demonic energy within a radius of 1,000,000 miles disintegrated as if confronted by its ultimate nemesis, dissipating rapidly. Who? The abrupt turn of events caused the devouring demon emperor's expression to shift. His gaze snapped to the horizon where the enormous spirit array unfolded. Within the array, 5 figures slowly emerged. Leading them was a young man clad in simple black robes, exuding an unassuming air. Beside him stood 2 stunningly beautiful young women, and behind them, 2 elderly figures stood with their hands behind their backs. In the distance, within a crumbling and completely disintegrated protective barrier around a grand hall, Lin Zhao's gaze locked on the vast spirit array ahead. His previously worried expression suddenly transformed into elation. They're back. Xun'er is back. In the mid-air afar, the 6 great lords and over a dozen reincarnation stage experts stared in astonishment at the unfolding scene. None had anticipated that at the brink of this dimension's annihilation, the figure who had long been regarded as its guardian deity would actually return. Swish! As they stood in shock, a massive pillar of light descended from the heavens, enveloping the individuals whose bodies were ablaze with the flames of reincarnation from burning their life force. What is this? The Flame Lord and others gazed in astonishment at the colossal pillar of light that engulfed them. Within its radiant glow, the flames of reincarnation consuming their bodies were rapidly extinguished. What shocked them even more was that their previously depleted primordial energy not only recovered at a breathtaking pace, but even showed signs of growth. The 6 great lords, along with Qing Ji, who had recently ascended to the 3rd stage of reincarnation, were the strongest reincarnation stage experts of this dimension. At this moment, they began sensing an entirely new and boundless realm of existence. Seizing the opportunity, they yearned to break through to that divine level, the ancestral realm. It's Lin Dong. He's returned, the Lord of Life and Death exclaimed, snapping out of his stupor. His gaze shot to the distant sky where the enormous spirit array was gradually dissipating, revealing the 5 figures standing within. Did he find the little junior sister? The Thunder Lord asked, his eyes also fixed on the horizon. It seems not, the Dark Lord replied, her gaze piercing through the void, seeing the figures emerging from the fading array. Among them were Lin Dong, Ling Qingzhu, Qing Tan, and 2 unfamiliar elderly men. He's back, but can Lin Dong handle this situation? The Flame Lord's expression showed no signs of relief as he looked at Lin Dong and his companions, who had appeared in this dimension. The 3 great demon emperors this time are far beyond the alien demon emperor we faced before. As long as we have the dimension embryo, we can win, the Thunder Lord said flatly. The sky was suffused with surging demonic energy, overwhelming the heavens and earth. However, under the radiance of the light, it began to retreat ceaselessly. Above, Lin Dong and his companions hovered in midair, gazing down at the once familiar world now rendered almost unrecognizable. Anger welled up in Lin Dong's heart like a tidal wave. How did it come to this? Ling Qingzhu muttered in disbelief as she surveyed the devastated land below. The demonic energy, more terrifying than when the alien demon emperor had invaded, filled her with unease. Her gaze turned to the heart of the dimension, narrowing slightly. There, tens of thousands of miles away, a grotesque giant face stared back at them. So, you're the Lin Dong I've heard about, the devouring demon emperor said, his chilling voice echoing across the world. With your strength, which is barely enough to reach the 4th grade supreme after transforming your spiritual energy? In the distance, a monstrous, terrifying face slowly morphed into a figure.